With the new league Affliction, we got a pretty huge buff to our league starter. This was already strong before the buff, but now I would say it's even more insane. What's up guys, Pidget here. Let's see what things we got on the damage side. Our skill choice is Toxic Rain. Firing a projectile with your bow, and where it lands you create a spark pad, and this will start dealing chaos damage over time in an area, and they can overlap with each other. The base duration of this skill is 1 second, but they changed the gem quality, so we will get 0.2 extra second, which is 20% more duration. In the POE, under the custom mode, I put 20% more duration to simulate the changes. For this skill, duration equal more damage, so this is 20% more damage for us. To show it how much bigger our damage is, on screen you can see the before and after the buff. I think this speaks better than words. I did not change any gear or added some funky stuff. This is just the duration increase. I could be wrong about this, so please wait till the POB gets updated with the new numbers. But of course, this skill without the buff is still super strong. Now let's talk about quote-unquote nerf. As you may know, you need reach a certain increased area threshold to get out the maximum overlap. This number is 39%. At this point all of your pods will overlap. They remove the increased area effect from the gem quality. So we need other source increased area effect. The easiest and the cheapest way to get around this nerf is we were using a single amulet craft from our crafting bench. 10% increased area effect and area damage. And that's it. We solved the nerf. In summary, to reach 39 increased area effect, we were using the bow mastery 20%, a glove craft 9%, 10% from our amulet. Our biggest and best multiplier is coming from a secondary source. Using ballistas, we can have 5 of these guys. They will help stack wither on the bosses, which is 90% increased chaos damage taken increased by default. Also we get an Ascendancy node that will increase the wither effect and also give us chance to inflict wither. In a few words, our damage will ramp much faster. Other really big damage increase is the skill effect duration, because the pods will stay longer in fights and deal damage for longer duration. We are also scaling from the attack speed very heavily, so we need every possible source. On league start we can use a cheap unique bow, Cool Rain. It was very cheap in the first day of the league, and the best thing about this, you don't even need 6-link it. You can only use as a 4-link and socket the ballistas inside it. We can reserve all of our mana, because the build using Eldritch Battery, with that we will spend our energy shield just like we have mana, but we can use our skill more freely because we don't have to worry about the mana. You need at least 450 energy shield, because I think this is a good breakpoint for the Divine Blessing setup, and even after you use the Divine Blessing you have enough energy shield to spam the Toxic Rain and still don't run out energy shield. Also, we got a little buff here as well, because Inspiration support got 5% reduced mana cost because the quality changes. With Affliction League we got 3 new Ascendancy. I think most of the time you will want to use Wildwood Primalist. With this we can get extra inventory slots, which is really good for early, even at late game. Also you can socket charms inside your Ascendancy tree. Works like relics from Sanctum League. Of course you will not get insane stuff at the beginning, but after this it will be really big. This is depends the mods on the charms and the rarity and how rare will be the good one. The other new Ascendancy is Warden of the Magi. This is worth to consider, because the first node, you can get this pretty early. They said on live stream you can have the first 2 points at Act 2. You can easily take out of the Magi. You can get elemental resistance pretty easily because there is a mod, plus 50% to all elemental resistance if you have a helmet without gems inside it. I think this could be worth to take till get the resistance capped later. Also worth to think about the boots without socketed gems, because you will get 30% increased movement speed as well. The third one, Warlock of the Mists. I think this is not too good for us, because we are already using a curse, so it would be hard to fit another curse in our build. Also the other nodes not too good for us. So I think overall this could be useless most of the time for this build. On the defensive side, using Grace Aura for evasion rating, so we almost can't die from the monster basic attacks or projectiles. Determination for the physical damage reduction. Because of that we can use Molten Shell, one of the best defensive cooldown in the game with cost 1 damage taken for this version. Now we almost can't be touched by physical attacks, only danger left for us is the spell damage, but we have a solution for this, using spell suppression from the tree, and we have 87%, only from the tree, and we will fill the remaining with mods from our gear slots. Even at league start, without any specific gear, we have permanent Flask uptime. We are achieving this with a couple of things. Our Ascendancy choice is Pathfinder. Pathfinder have this really cool line: gain free flash charge every 3 seconds. Taking on the tree a couple of flask nodes to boost our flash charge gain, of course. On all of our flasks needs this mod. Gain 2 or 3 charge when we get a hit. With all of this, you will have permanent flask uptime even when you're standing still in your hideout. We have insane recovery from our Ascendancy. Because we're taking Pathfinder, we can use the Master Surgeon node. That will make our life flask still active if our life reaching full. Also, we gain 4% of our life when we're using a flask. This is the reason this version of this build using gain charge on hit flask mod. So when you take many hits, you will not notice because the flask will immediately heal you, and we're using all the elemental flask that is reducing the elemental damage we take by a lot. I would like if you hit the like button like the shaper hitting the elder, so it can start spread to more people. Thank you! Because it's league start, we can't have big items in the first day of the league. That's why we have very basic items in the list here. Only one item worth to mention, and that's the Cool Rain unique bow. This was really cheap even in the first day of the league. That's why I'm suggesting to use it when you have enough currency for it. It will carry you almost till the high tier maps. Also, you don't need to 6-link it. Just use as a 4-link and socket ballistas here. Before we starting the flash section with Pathfinder, you don't have to cap your resistance with your gear because you will have 100% uptime on the resistance flasks. So you don't have to worry about capping your resistance with the gear, just your chaos resistance. So the flask we're using is a Ruby, Topaz, Sapphire, Quicksilver, Divine Life Flask. All the flask needs to be with this mod. Gain 2 or 3 charge when you take a hit and needs this flask enchantment. Use when full. Later, when you get high tier flask, you will use the free charge when you take a hit. The sub mods needs to be this: increased armor, evasion, attack speed unique effect, and the order doesn't matter. Also, you can cheat your elemental resistance with adding all elemental resistance mod to your flask that has 100% uptime, so your gearing will be easier. On the life flask, increase the amount recovered and reduce recovery rate. The sub mode is bleeding and corrupted blood immunity. Pantheons we're using is the following. To get the elemental ailments immunity, you need to use Soul of the Brine King for freeze immunity and reduce chill effect. Minor, Soul of Garukan to reduce the shock effect on you. Bandits, 2 passive points. I just want to highlight a few things on the passive tree. In the early levels, your main goal is to allocate Aspect of Eagle and Hunter's Gambit and take the Bow Mastery here, while taking a few life node and start pathing to wasting. There you can take the Chaos Mastery 10% more damage against enemies that has energy shield. After that you will just travel to the top of the tree, taking all the nodes you see here. But do not take Eldritch Battery till you have at least 4 or 500 energy shield. My golden rule for leveling: if you feel you need more damage, take damage nodes first. If you're dying or gets chunked hard, prioritize life and defensive nodes. We're taking Pathfinder as our Ascendancy. On your first lap, take Nature Reprisal. This is really huge for the early leveling. It will help you the signal target damage and you can easily stack Wither on enemies. Second lap, Nature's Boon. Magic Flask will have increased effect on you, so don't forget to upgrade your flask to magic while leveling. Third lap, Nature's Adrenaline. You will now regen flash charges. For the last lab, Master Surgeon, now your life flask will be active even if you reached full life. Gem and Gem link starting with our main link: Toxic Rain, Mirage Archer, Increased Duration, Efficacy, Void Manipulation, Vicious Projectile. The secondary source of our damage: Toxic Rain, Efficacy, Focused Ballista, Multiple Totems, Ballista Totem, and Void Manipulation. Our Curse setup and Divine Blessing setup: Despair, Inspiration, Malevolence, and Divine Blessing. Our Aura setup: Grace, Determination, Summon Skitterbots, and Unbound Ailments. Our Move and Skill and Cast when Damage Taken setup: Cast when Damage Taken, Increased Duration, Flame Dash, and Molten Shell. I hope you enjoyed this video about Toxic Rain Pathfinder for Affliction League Start. If you have any question, please leave a comment below. Also, I would like to say thank you for my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. I was Bridget. See you next time!